Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Travis, and this is my lovely girlfriend, Sarah. This is Bacon and Backpacking, and today we're actually going to be showing off Sarah's, I guess you'd say, new pack. She's had it for 6-8 months, something like that. But that is the Outdoor Vitals CS40. Alright guys, microphone's facing me, so you shouldn't have too much water noise, but I really wanted to get this beautiful scenery here in the background. So we'll kind of, talk about the pack a little bit, show you some of the features. So first of all, guys, this is what would be considered an ultralight backpack, okay? If you're doing some sort of, deep winter alpine mountaineering or whatever, and you need to carry 50 pounds of gear, not going to be the pack for you. So the pack is made out of Ultra 200. It's a fairly, newer fabric in the ultralight space. The claim is it weighs about the same as Dyneema composite fiber, but with 6 times the abrasion resistance, okay? Now, some of you might be like, I don't know how I feel about a white pack, and yeah, sure, it'll get dirty. One of our friends, Celeste, has this pack. She did a through hike of, I believe, the Long Trail in Vermont with it. And it's a little brown, but according to Outdoor Vitals, the reason that they do the white color is because the contents inside the pack don't get as hot because of the white color of the fabric. And then I do want you guys to keep a couple things in mind. The pack is not as full as it might be because obviously we're on a trip and most of our gear isn't in it. The tent's already set up, quilt's already set up and stuff like that, but it should be good enough to give you guys an overview. So first of all, this pack does have what they consider to be a full frame. So it has some carbon stays right here that actually give the pack like a frame. Those run all the way down. They weigh about 2 ounces, so saves you a little bit of weight compared to like aluminum or something like that. But this pack is designed to carry up to 35 pounds comfortably. And there's a couple features that enable that. So you guys will see here, there are load lifters, and typically when the pack is full, these are positioned very good. You get that like 45-degree angle, which is what you're looking for with load lifters. Go ahead and turn so we can see like the hip belt a little bit. So the hip belt is actually fairly thick and fairly robust. I know that pocket's kind of in the way there, but compared to like my Z packs, that hip belt is definitely more robust than something you'd find on, like a comparable Z packs. And then obviously, just basic stuff. You have like your sternum strap and everything like that. Outdoor Vitals does have accessories for this. The hip belt pouches come standard and they're attached, right? Now they do have water bottle sleeves that you can put on this. It did not come with the pack, but you can purchase those if you'd like to carry a water bottle there. Speaking of which, good segue, we'll go ahead and turn you here, my dear. So these water bottle pouches are actually fairly robust. You can fit 2 1-liter bottles in there. Now this is kind of pointless for me because I don't have the shoulder mobility to ever grab a water bottle out of that pouch anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. But I've been told, yep, there you go. So apparently you can actually reach it. I imagine that'd be a little bit tougher if you had 2 in there to put it back in, but it should be easy to get it out. But apparently if you have some degree of shoulder mobility, you should be able to access your water bottles. Again, I can't, but that's me. And then just some note on the nomenclature. So I was telling you guys about these carbon fiber frame stays here. That's actually where the pack gets its name, CS40. So CS stands for the carbon stays, and then 40 is the capacity of the pack. Now guys, I need you to keep in mind, different manufacturers rate their pack capacity in different ways. So for example, Z packs, if they have a 50-liter pack, that's the total volume of the pack. On the CS40, the main pouch is 40 liters, but you pick up an additional 2 liters here. You pick up an additional 2 liters here. Now this stretchy mesh pocket, which most ultralight packs have, okay, picks you up another 6, and then there's 1 liter of capacity on each hip belt. And then another thing compared to its competitor, which would be, the Z packs as one of the packs in, this class. One complaint I've always had with the Z packs is their hip belt pouches. You basically can't unzip them yourself. Can you rezip it? Yeah, so that is one thing that I like better than the Z-Packs. As you guys saw there, you can actually get inside and outside that pouch because it has some structure to it, whereas the Z-Packs ones are kind of just like floppy and hang there, and you have to use 2 hands to, you know, unzip and then rezip it. So I almost never use them because you can't really access them. Now, I do want to come back around to the back of the pack here, guys. So again, if you're used to traditional style backpacks, you're missing out on this, man. This stretchy mesh is great for all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you're hiking and changing in and out of layers and things like that, it's convenient to not have to, you know, drop your pack, get into it, repack everything, etc., etc. It's really nice to be able to just shove like a rain jacket back there, a base layer back there, beanie, gloves, you know, things like that. I always keep like my water filter, you know, back there as well too. So that way if I have to stop and filter water, you know, it's nice and easy. We'll take a look at a couple other things here too, guys. So first of all, you do have this cordage on the sides. So if you had something like tent poles, you know, running up here or something, you can cinch those down so they're not falling out. Sara keeps, you know, we have our Helinox Chair Zeros over here, so we typically keep those in the water bottle pouches. I can verify that you can fit a water bottle and Chair Zero in that side pouch at the same time, but you also have things like retaining loops for an ice axe or for trekking poles, stuff like that. Now, bad example here because again, the pack doesn't really have a lot in it, but you do have this strap that goes across the top, so you have a top compression strap in case you need to, you know, lock anything down on the top of the pack. And then just like most ultralight packs, guys, it is a roll top, right? And again, this ultra fabric, I'm just gonna push that down. It looks great now. But one thing I like about this ultra fabric, because I actually have a Z-Packs that is made out of ultra as well. These things do great in the rain. I wouldn't go so far as to call them, you know, waterproof, right? But, you know, I've been in pretty heavy rains and didn't really get any water inside it. As long as you're able to fold that roll top down about 3 or 4 times and seal it off, it will keep the majority of the water out of your pack. Again, the majority. I'm not telling you it's waterproof, right? If you're used to traditional backpacks, you know, you pick up like REI or something like that, you might be thinking you need more bells and whistles and stuff and more compartments and things like that, but I've found it's way easier to just have one, you know, big compartment and just chuck everything in there. If you want to do any organization, you can always get like stuff sacks and things like that. But, you know, it just adds unnecessary weight to have more zippers, more pouches, things like that. You don't need any of that stuff, right? So I prefer ultralight backpacks and the simplicity of them. Anything that, you know, I don't want in the main pouch, I mean, I just throw in here, right? Or in the side, or the hip belt pouches, or, you know, anything like that. Now, one of the last things I will say, guys, is again, if you kind of compare this pack to some of its competitors, it's actually, you know, fairly heavy. So the pack itself is about 27 ounces. And again, if you're switching from, you know, a conventional backpack, you'll think that's crazy light. But the Z-Packs, you know, like the Arcol 50, which would be the equivalent, you know, of this pack from Z-Packs, actually clocks in at something like 19 or 20 ounces. So it's actually significantly lighter than the Outdoor Vitals pack. But allegedly, again, you do have these more robust pouches right here. You have a more robust hip belt. You have, you know, fairly decently padded shoulder straps. I'll show you the back panel here in a second, but it's definitely more robust than the Z-Packs for sure. So in theory, you should get like a little bit of extra comfort out of the CS40. Both of the packs are rated for 35-pound capacity. I do know a lot of people have said that they've pushed them, you know, above 35 pounds. But again, guys, keep in mind, have the right tool for the job, right? Like, these are ultralight packs. They should get you through a 5 to 7 day trip, you know, very easily. And you shouldn't really need to go, you know, much higher than about 35 pounds for those. And then let's take a look at that panel real quick. So you kind of have this, like, you know, reddish color here. You know, I like it. I think it looks nice, like the black, the reddish color, the white. I think it's a good looking pack. But you can kind of see how the back panel is designed, right? So this part right here is kind of like sunken in, and this part, you know, is closer to your back. So in theory, that should provide you, you know, a little bit of ventilation there to kind of vent, you know, some sweat and stuff like that. But you guys have probably found the same as I have, that pretty much any backpack, whether it's got a full frame, you know, a minimal frame, a back panel, no back panel, you know, whatever. My back sweats the same in every pack anyway, so I don't know how much of a difference it makes. You do have your grab handle here. You know, guys, ultralight gear isn't fragile, but, you know, I wouldn't go out of my way to abuse it, right? So, you know, if this thing's kind of loaded up to capacity, you know, 30, 35 pounds, you know, I would probably grab it by the grab handle most of the time, right, just to be safe. And then Sarah's showing you how many snacks you can fit in the hip belt pouch. It's actually quite a bit. Like I said, it's like a 1 liter capacity. But they do have the little key retainer, like little carabiner thing there. It's meant to, you know, just hook your key ring on there, so that way you never lose your keys on your trip. You know, most packs have those. But yeah, I mean, it's a 1 liter pouch, so you can fit quite a few snacks in there, as you can see. All right, everybody, so a couple closing thoughts. Obviously, this is Sarah's pack, it's not mine. I've never wore one. We do have 2 other friends that have them. Brian and Celeste are both, you know, pretty big backpackers as well. They both own the same pack. I know they both love it. And so what we're gonna do here, guys, is get ready to close this out with some final thoughts. I'm gonna turn it over to Sarah. Last thing I have for you guys is just, again, kind of comparing 2 packs in its class. So it is $330, okay? But if you have the Live Ultralight membership through Outdoor Vitals, the pack is actually only $297. So again, that brings it in significantly cheaper than like the Z-Packs Arc Haul, probably about $100 cheaper. And like I said, with the Z-Packs, you end up with another 50, 80 bucks in add-ons with like the water bottle pouch, the hip pouches, stuff like that. So this thing does come in significantly cheaper than the Z-Packs. The Z-Packs, again, is much lighter, and it comes in a little bit more expensive than the Durst and Kakwa. So those are probably the 2 packs that it gets compared to the most. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sarah because I've never worn this thing, so her opinions are a lot better than mine.
So ultimately, everybody's like built a little bit different, and everything's going to fit you a little bit differently. But I was lucky enough to have the ability to borrow a friend, Celeste. So I actually wore this pack for an entire trip before I ended up purchasing it, or you ended up purchasing it for me.
Yeah, it was a, yeah, I forgot, it was a present. Yeah, I actually bought that for you, but
yeah. But I had found on that trip, which was one of the harder trips that I had ever done at the time, that it was significantly more comfortable than my previous pack, or previous 2 packs. So that being said, I really like this pack. I think part of what makes it more comfortable for me is it kind of brings everything in closer to your body, whereas my other packs were probably kind of making me cantilever over a little bit more.
Yeah, you'll see that. So Sarah gets really bad migraines a lot, and almost every time we backpack, she gets a migraine. We did almost 40 miles on the Virginia Triple Crown, pretty tough hiking out there. That video is on the channel, by the way. It's about a year old at this point, so you know, go ahead and look for that. That was a great trip. But like she said, she borrowed Celeste's CS40, and that was like the first trip you didn't have like a massive headache on, I feel like, in years.
Yeah.
So that ended up being one of the reasons we bought it, and there is something to what she's saying. Like I said, ultralight packs, guys, are very thin, like front to back. They're just basically a sack, right, is all they are, right? They're like a big dry bag, essentially. And the weight stacks more vertically, whereas your traditional packs tend to have more weight going off the back of your body, and I've noticed that too. I actually think it's more comfortable to carry 30 or 35 pound loads in ultralight backpack, you know, type configurations than traditional packs.
So overall, I've really been loving this pack so far. My biggest gripe is probably that my phone doesn't fit into the hip pocket, just because I have one of the larger phones. So I have a 12 Pro Max, so it just doesn't quite fit. It can hang out there if I leave it unzipped, but that's probably not the best for walking around.
But yeah, guys, we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap this thing up. So I think Sarah gave her input. So I think the final question is, would you recommend this pack?
I would. It has thus far been my best pack.
Well, hey guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and do me a couple favors. So if you like the video, if you like the CS40, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. You know, it helps me out in the algorithm. If you guys like the content that you saw here today, just be aware we do a lot more than just, you know, talking head like gear review videos. I probably have 40 backpacking trip videos at, you know, multiple states across the eastern US up on the channel. All kinds of cool stuff there. We're going to be giving the CS40 a little bit more work here pretty soon. We have a 7-day trip coming up in Utah here in about 3 weeks, so that's going to be an epic video there. We're going to be spending 7 days on the Uinta Highline Trail. Thanks again, Outdoor Vitals, for hipping me to that trail. But yeah, guys, if you like the content and everything, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.